How does that feel like? That was only two minutes or so. Do you feel like your energy is more calmer, more grounded, more focused, more centered? So who would like to share what your experience was like in that 2 minutes?
It was definitely something that I actually envisioned when I closed my eyes. I saw the family doing it together when sometimes, one of us would get kind of like ungrounded. So this would be a good way to ground ourselves as a family unity and kind of like support everybody. And I saw it. I literally saw us doing that exercise. Sometimes, we just need that reminder. It's like one little move, and then that's it. You're named the course, right? One small move, and then the course of how that could have been would be a lot better.
And now knowing this, how would life be different when you practice this more often?
Oh, I think we definitely will be better. Calmer for sure. Thank you.
And what happens when you're calmer? What happens to the kids?
Oh, I think we're all just having a good time instead of, kind of like focusing on one person. Usually it's like one of us, having a hard time and like you said, the energy flowing around that energy instead of the three of us that are, or for example, the three of them that are calm, them kind of coming over and being able to support one another, and then kind of like, shifting quickly instead of it, staying stuck in there.
So that's why in many ways, I know you guys are probably already formulating this. This is really a leadership course. I know, like, oh, I'm not a leader, I'm just a parent. We have this conception about what leadership is like. Unless you're the president of the United States, if you're a CEO of a company, if you're, executive, whatever, then you are in a leadership position, or in a military, you are in a leadership position. A leadership position, what it really means is if you're able to influence somebody, a friend, your kids, your spouse, you, my friend, are in a leadership position. Whether you're a business owner, you're in a leadership position. Whether you're a parent, you are in a leadership position, because your emotion will impact other people. How many get this? So Cindy, is there something you'd like to share as well?
I think the kids, it's so simple, monkeys, but at the same time, it's so complex.
So at the same time, you still, what was it?
It's so complex.
Very complex. Yeah,
Right.
100%.
Because you're working on yourself, and then you're kind of like working on them as well. So bring in that moment, in that time, at the specific instant, like regulating yourself. And as you mentioned, like the body has memory, and then kind of like the body has like a reaction, automatically reaction. But now it's kind of like a aha moment, identifying the pattern. Okay, when that moment goes, this is my response. So I have to just kind of like reverse engineer to say, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, and create a plan and be in the same page with my partner, so we can like go about it and treat it at the same time, with the same methods and with the same tools, because this is kind of like, okay, mom has one way, and then mom has one way, and dad has another way. So we kind of like need to be in sync so our kids doesn't go nuts.
Yeah, exactly right. The boat analogy I talked about, everybody should be paddling at least the same direction or in sync.
Yes, exactly. So that's an aha moment, actually, because our kids are like, okay, what am I gonna do? My dad has a style, my mom has another style, so what I'm gonna do, like, I just don't do anything. And that's what's going on. So this is an aha moment right now. Thank you, Alan.
And this river of life, right? It's never bumpy, right? You're never going to go down to class 4, never go down to class 5, because life will never give you problems. Yes or no? And then
land, maybe.
Real life, right? Yeah, and then what happened is you're about to go down this big waterfall drop, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I should be paddling, I should not be paddling, and what should I do? Nobody's calling out the command, nobody's taking charge, everybody's doing their own thing, and that's when boat flips. That's when life flips. Good. I'm so happy that you guys are getting this. All right, so the other thing I want to go back to Miguel and Cindy. Can you share with us, because now you guys taking the Remarkable Parenting Academy 5-week course. And I think one of the things you talked about was really remarkable, because you talked about how just within one module that you learned from the first week, your son, you have 2 sons, and in the beginning, you were really frustrated because he was in his spelling test, he was only getting 2 words spelled correctly out of 15. And after learning just week 1 of module, like the very next week, he got 15 out of 15. I don't know how more remarkable that can be. So can you talk a little bit about that, like what your experience?
I think one of the things was like the shaming and the screaming and the frustration, and then turning that more into like, hey, encouraging words, and saying you can do this, oh wow, you got, say for example, 5 out of 15, right? So I would have just said like, why are you still getting 5 out of 15, right? So it was like great, you're just like progress and being able to like show him that love. And then he just today, I mean, we usually, by the way, that week that you're talking about, it was like every day. Now it's not an everyday thing for us to work on his spelling. Cindy did it one day, and I just closed the gaps with like 3 words today. So this morning, this kid is gonna get another 15 out of 10. He's been doing 15 out of 15 ever since, by the way.
And then with the encouraging words and kind of like, oh, this is easy, like super easy. Oh yeah, it's super easy. And then he's like mimicking this energy. It's like, oh, you already got it, right? And then with encouraging words, they identify the pattern and attention.
Yes, definitely.
So how is life like now?
Well, we feel proud of him and proud of us because we're working together. We are actually implementing the knowledge with our kids in such a practical way that we can see results
immediately, right?
And by the way, tomorrow we're going, no, tomorrow, right? Saturday, yes. Tomorrow we're going to Universal Studios, and he's going to be doing his recital as we are in the line at Universal's. So we will let you guys know how that turns out in his recital. He's going to do a presentation on Neil Armstrong.
Nice. Love to hear that. Right. So what you're saying is basically you're going to have fun and be able to learn at the same time. This is the hallmark of remarkable parents. So I want to give kudos to you guys. High five. The other part, I found also very remarkable was as you're practicing the spelling words in your car and you have a younger son who's not even at his older son grade level, he's also picking up the spelling and he's also being able to spell the words. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was remarkable. So we were spelling like besides, something like, big word. And he was just like spelling it out. And I was like, what?
On the way to the school.
Yeah.
Yeah, inside.
Very awesome. Oh my gosh. You guys. So what I love about you guys is not only you guys learn this, but he also took massive action. Okay. Most people, they learn like, yeah, that's a good thing to do. They go home, they do nothing. The fact that you guys actually implement it, oh my gosh, and see amazing results, that's kudos to you. I didn't do that, you guys did it. So I'd like to invite you to stick your right hand up, bend your elbow, for an awesome job done.
And one more thing, Alan.
Yes.
I'm just trusting the process because of your amazing, coaching. Because for me, for example, I raised in the traditional way where you go to study and it's a study and sit down and still and then focus and until I saw kind of like the story that you share with us, like exactly, you can have fun and you can study. And then I remember myself like I was like 3 hours the whole day, the whole weekend, trying to just get something in my head that's sticking out, and my exam was like, like not that great, not 5, like as this, story that you mentioned. And basically the story is like, you can go to Disneyland and study in line, and then it's going to stick more because you associate it with emotion that is fun, right? So we were kind of like, for me, Miguel was telling me like, he needs games, he needs, I'm like, life is not like that. Life is not fun all the time. The teacher is not going to say hello and have this, patience and games all the time, right? It's time when you have to sit down and be serious about it. But I'm just trusting the process, and I'm trusting, like, okay, let's make it fun because it's our kids. And I've seen like this traditional way is actually not working.
Yeah, you're gonna quickly learn how the stuff that I teach, there's gonna be some friction in how I teach and how the traditional classroom environment. So it also depends on school. I have had a chance to go see my daughter's school in action, and their educational system is totally different than what I grew up in a really good way. A lot of things I talked about, they're implementing. So it has to do with school district and how updated the teachers are. Because a lot of these teachers were like 30, 40 years in, they're learning the old way. So a couple things to remedy. Number one, you might want to look for different school districts that understands human behavior. So the part where you sit down, shut up, and listen at school, which is how we were brought up, that works for some kids, but it doesn't. And then what happened is the kids that doesn't pick up, because that's not how they learn, they're going to get rejected. They're going to be labeled as problem kids or ungifted, a slow learner, which is not true. And funny how you brought this point up. So I'm going to ask you guys to go in and explore, because I know kids' education for you guys are super important, right? Because there's the whole point about this academy is giving your kids an opportunity to win at life. What this is really about. So recently I saw a Facebook post, and I'm just going to read it for you very, very quickly. So at 6 years old, little Beverly was put on an academic probation, 6 years old, after her first grade. Her biggest problem was reading. The assignment books were giving, like, they're all boring educational stories about being polite children, okay? And thanks to school's librarian friendly encouragement, the girl finally agreed to read because the books were really boring. So after college, Beverly became working as a children librarian as well. Okay, she found children's book to be very boring. So what she did, the Dick and Janes were not all lively, they're not curious, they're not funny at all, they're angry, unruly, and real kids. Okay, Beverly decided to become an author herself. So she published like Mouse and the Motorcycles, Roma and the Pest, Henry Huggins, and more than 40 books in all. And her books won dozens of awards, sold more than 90 million copies, 90 million copies, and still beloved today. So not bad for a little girl that doesn't like to read. At some point, I'm not saying it's your kid's fault. It's part of it is the educational problem.
Yeah.
Right? Again, how you and I grow up is sit down, shut up, hold your hands together, behave. That's not how we learn, right? If you think about, like, thousands of years ago, how we learn is we touch things, we move, we laugh, we bond, we play together. And that's how we learn. So this course is an invitation that elements that we can control, going back to inner locus and outer locus, right? Outer locus is we can't control all that. What we can control is how we going to teach and educate our kids. And here's what happened. So I totally get to another point, and totally what you're saying. My daughter, to give you an idea. Yeah, I know this sounds, when I bring this out, you're like, oh my God, like what are you doing, Alan? But there's a purpose for that. I don't want to talk too much about it because that's off scope. So let me give you my daughter's schedule. Monday, she's taking online, other than school. This is additional to school. Monday, she's taking a math class on web. Tuesday, she's taking a Chinese class on web. They're all about an hour each. Wednesday, she's also taking another math class, same math class, so it's twice a week. Okay. Thursday, she's taking computer coding, an hour. Friday, she's taking Chinese class. Tuesday, she's also doing art. So she got a full schedule. This is on top of that coming back from school and her homework. Some of the teachers are also very traditional. I can control over them. What I can't control is make things fun. So going back to, for example, in the Chinese class, in the beginning, she hated it. You'll learn how to create this interest with your kid. And remember the concept we talked about, the fire? So if you're not familiar with the fire, I'm gonna quickly talk about it. So how do we get kids to ignite their interest and love of learning? The biggest thing you want to take away from this call is get your kids to love to listen. And that goes with you parents too, okay? I believe our mission in life is to find the joy of learning, the love of learning. So it's not an end goal. The end goal is not to be smart. The end goal is not to be like the brightest or the smartest person in the room. The end goal is to love learning, because what that does is you're never going to give up. And that's going to help build your kids' grit, determination, and focus. But how do you get them to love learning? We understand as adults, like, oh, hard work. Yeah, hard work pays off. We get it. But you try to teach that to a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old. Hard work, what? That's not fun. You guys getting this? So how do we do that? It goes back to that fundamental of starting a fire. How do you start a fire? First thing to do when you start a fire, when you're camping, right? What do? You need to go find leaves. You need to find little twigs, and you got to have a log. Those are the basic material. Plus, you need a lighter or a spark to create the fire. You need all that. But here's what most parents do. They created a spark. Oh, my kid loves piano. And then they put a bunch of logs on top of that. Like, okay, since you like piano, you started playing piano, we're going to practice 5 hours each day so that you can get to Carnegie Hall. Practice makes perfect. I'm sure you guys heard that before. What do you think the kid's going to do? They hate it. Boring, right? Here's something what I noticed was really interesting. For my kid, she can do certain things I want to instill with her, but certain things I want to also offer her freedom as well, because I'm looking at her special powers, because I want to focus on those. So I'm playing piano one day. So as a kid, I hated playing piano because I was forced to. As an adult, Actually, I started picking up playing piano myself. Because why? When I was a kid, all I played was a bunch of boring songs. How many have ever been forced to play an instrument? If you guys been forced playing an instrument, you know what I'm talking about. You play songs like, you're like, oh my God, it's so boring. What if you're able to play a Taylor Swift song? What if you're able to play a song that you like? Do you think you'll have more vested interest in playing? So as an adult, I playing the songs I love, I sing to. I'm like, oh my God, it's fun. I'm learning C chord, D chord, E minor, like all that stuff. This is fun. And my daughter goes, hey, that's a Taylor Swift song. Hey, that's Dance Monkey song. I want to play. Ignited her interest. And now she wants to play piano. Same with reading books. I got her love reading books ever since she was really, really young. Because I got interest. Because we made it fun. The core element is having fun. You guys getting this? The fun is the spark. So anytime we experience all this, it always goes back to the fundamentals. You guys getting this? It always goes back to the fundamentals. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up how to really turn your kids from rebellious kids to resilient kids. That's what the program is really about. And for those of you who already joined us, continue on with us, follow with us, and we're gonna wrap up and conclude. Until then, live purposely, love passionately, and be the most remarkable parent that you're always meant to be. We'll see you future sessions. Okay, bye.